So I want to get to some viewer questions. So Brian Gallardo asks, if Bernie raises the minimum wage to $15, what would that do to small business owners? So that is something that is a bit complex. Now, when he states he wants to raise it to $15 per hour, he doesn't mean immediately just start at $15 per hour. So what he states is that he wants to incrementally raise the wage. So you start at $10 an hour, then you raise it to 12, and then to 14, and then to 15. I don't know if that's the actual pace that he wants to do, but he's not going to just automatically start at $15 per hour because that would kind of shock the economy. So most economists state that if you do incrementally raise the wage, this will be very beneficial. And you see, the good thing about raising the minimum wage is that when you do that, you increase the purchasing power of individual workers. So by doing this, they go out, they stimulate the economy by shopping, and then business owners in turn benefit from that, and then they can actually afford to pay their workers higher wages. So if you do this incrementally, you'll see that the aggregate effect is good. Now, people contend that if you raise the minimum wage, it's actually going to lead to inflation. But what they don't also tell you is that, well, inflation rises every single year. So even if some business owners try to pawn the cost of minimum wage off on consumers, well, it's not going to be by that much. I mean, at most you see a 10% increase on like certain types of small items. But I mean, it's the overall, the economy will benefit from minimum wage. Now, there are some economists that will disagree with this, but most of them, very notable economists, they'll state that, yeah, it is going to be beneficial to the economy if you raise the minimum wage. So he's not going to hurt small businesses. He's going to raise it incrementally. And even if a small business can't afford to pay their workers more, then they're not long for this world anyway. So it's something we got to do in order to stimulate the economy, because if people don't have purchasing power, the economy stagnates. Now, he also asks, does free Medicare cover everyone, even if they don't have a job? So, yeah. So the thing about Medicare for All is that it'll be like every other single-payer system in Australia, in Canada, and whatnot. It doesn't matter if you have a job or not, because your job is not the one who is burdened with providing you with health insurance. It's the government. So you pay into it with your taxes, and then you in turn get health insurance. Now, this will be more cost-effective because if the government actually foots the bill for us through our taxes, well then prices can stay down, because the reason why costs go up in healthcare is because people get these huge debts that they've accumulated from not having medical insurance, and then they have no way of paying it, so then the health and medical industry, they are forced to raise prices. But if you are constantly paying off these bills through your tax dollars, well, then it's going to work. And the way that he's going to do this is, well, for one, you can reallocate from our regressive tax or our regressive health system to this progressive health system, which is single payer for all. And furthermore, even if you raise taxes, even payroll taxes on everyone by just like 5 or 10%, well, you're going to save money, because if you look at Obamacare, some of these plans are $400, $300 even, and that's really expensive. So if you're getting like 30, 40 bucks taken out of your paycheck every week, that's a lot cheaper than paying $400, $500, sometimes $600 a month for good healthcare. So in the end, it's a net win for everyone, and yes, everyone is covered. Okay, so I want to take one more question. William Morris asks, what is your take on the polls of Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders? You gave us the numbers, but I would like to know if you think these polls are legit or just projection. Look, here's the thing about polls. They're not accurate if you just look at one. When you look at aggregate polling, then you kind of can gauge where the candidates are at, but it's not everything. It's not set in stone. So you want to take polls with a grain of salt. You certainly want to take individual polls with a grain of salt. But look, there is more reliability when it comes to aggregate polls, and I do trust that polls give us some information. Not all. Polls aren't everything, but they give us some reliable information, and they let us estimate where the candidates are at. So I do think that polls are, they're helpful. They're not everything, but they're helpful. A lot of people can dispute that, and that's perfectly fine. But I disagree.